Okay, so we've got an integral here, sine of x times natural log of cosine x with respect to x within the parameters of 0 and pi over 4. So how are we going to get the integral of this? Well, we know that log of cosine x has a famous integral, and that's negative tangent x. But if we end up with negative tangent x here, we're left with the sine of x here to go with it. It's going to still leave us with some stuff to do. But what we can see, a sine of x and a cosine of x, if you do a u sub and then take the derivative of one of them, then it can cancel out the other. So if we do a u sub of what's in the natural log of x, and then with the u sub we might be able to cancel this sine of x. So let's do that. So u equals cosine of x, du equals negative sine of x dx. So therefore dx equals negative 1 over sine x du. Okay, now we're not quite done yet with the u sub because we've got these parameters of integration here. So for x equals 0, that gives us u equals cosine 0, which is 1. For x equals pi over 4, u equals cosine pi over 4, which is 1 over root 2. So these are now our new parameters of integration here. So let's go and plug those in. So 1 over root 2, that's our parameters to exchange for those. Sine of x, let's just leave that in there for now. And then we've got log cosine x, which is just u. So log of u, and then dx is minus 1 over sine x du. Okay, now the x is not invited into the u world, but we cancel out, that's fine. So now what we're left with is negative 1 log of u du and our parameters. So let's just plug that in there now. 1 over root 2 natural log of u du, and then the minus 1 we just bring out front. We don't need to put the 1, but just put a minus sign is fine. Now log of u, now we can do that with integration by parts. Now the formula for integration by parts is integral of fg prime equals fg minus the integral of f prime g. So that looks a little bit confusing for now, but what we're going to do is assign one of these functions here for a g prime and one for f. So for integration by parts here, we need to put an imaginary 1 times something. Okay. Now, to take the derivative of log of u is simple, that's just 1 over u. If we take the derivative of it, we're back where it was with integration by parts. So let's just take the derivative of log of u. So if you let f equal ln u, f prime is 1 over u. So therefore we need g prime to equal 1, and then g is the integral of 1 in the u world, which is u. Okay, now let's go and plug this in. So now we've got equals. Now this is part of the answer, so we have to use our parameters of integration for this. So f times g, so that's log of u times u. So u ln u from 1 over root 2 to 1, and then minus the next integral, and the parameters are still the same, f prime g, so that's 1 over u times u, and that's the du there. Okay, this is part of the answer, so we can go straight ahead and calculate that. Then we've got one more integral here still to work out, but this is looking really good because we can just cancel these out and we're left with 1 du with these parameters. Integral of 1 is just going to be u. So basically we can just plug in straight away here like this, just the u with these parameters. So let's go for that. So first of all, u ln u with these values. So plug in 1 over root 2 first. 1 over root 2 log 1 over root 2. Now before we go ahead here, we see that we're going to have to plug in a log of 1. Well, log of 1 we know is 0, so whatever this is still going to be 0. So we don't need to subtract anything from that. So this is part of our answer. And then what we need to do, multiply through by -1. So just multiply through the whole thing by -1. Then minus this integral, which we said was going to be u. Integral of 1 of u, integral of 1 in du world is just u. So let's just plug that in there now. 1 over root 2 times 1. Okay, let's give ourselves a bit of room. Okay, now we distribute the minus sign. So we've got minus 1 over root 2 log of 1 over root 2. That's the minus sign distributed here. And now we distribute it here. So let's just go through this carefully, save ourselves a bit of time here. U times 1 over root 2 is 1 over root 2. Minus, minus, so that's going to be plus. So plus 1 over root 2. And now what we have to do when we're calculating this, we have to subtract 1. So that would be then subtracting 1, which would give us minus, minus, minus. So that's still going to be a minus. Okay, so that will give us our answer.